What's going on, YouTube? This is Jason with Not Included Car Club. Today, I've got a very special video for you guys. Our boy Ron Miller sent us some parts to try out. I've got a titanium intake, a water pump pulley, and a Whoosh Motorsports blow-off valve adapter with a HKS SSQV. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So we're gonna go ahead and start off by installing this Whoosh water pump pulley. This is something that my boy Ron sent me. So essentially the idea of the pulley is just to be lighter than the stock pulley, so it's gonna give you less rotational mass. Although arguably it's negligible, so the main point for this really is just for it to look pretty. So if you wanna come over here, Ash, if you look right down in here, can you get down in there, Ash? It's that pulley that you see on the top right there with the 3 bolts holding it in the front. Yep. So when you're looking at that, I don't know if you can tell, but that is a stretch fit belt. So usually that requires a special type of tool to take on and put off. But over the years of working on vehicles, I have found a trick to get those on and off, so I will be sharing that with you guys so you won't have to buy a special tool to take that on and off. Alrighty guys, so I got a chance to get the car up on the lift and take a look. As far as this water pump install is concerned, it looks like the easiest way to go about this is probably to take the wheel off and then take the fender liner out. So I already got the wheel off. I mean, everybody knows how to take a wheel off. You got 5 lug nuts. It's going to be a 19 millimeter if you just got regular lug nuts on there. I do have these Mishimoto lightweight billet lug nuts. Shout out Mishimoto. So they come with a special locking socket as well. But anyways, you get the wheel off, and then you have your fender liner. When you look at the fender liner, you have 3 screws right here. 1, 2, 3. You're just going to take those out. It's a Phillips head screw. And then the rest of these are just push tabs. So what you do with those is you get your handy push tab removal tool, and you just go right in the middle of one of those clips, and you pop it out from the middle, and it should just release the clip like that. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then there's going to be 1, 2, 3 holding it on the bottom. So we'll be back when I get all of those out. Alrighty, so now we got the fender liner off the vehicle. That's just gonna give us more access to the drive pulleys. So this front belt right here is the serpentine belt that's gonna drive your compressor and your alternator. We're gonna leave this belt alone. The belt we're after is this belt right here. This is the water pump belt. It is a stretch fit belt, as I was mentioning earlier. So what that means is it doesn't have a tensioner. It literally stretches the belt to fit it on those 2 pulleys. So what you're gonna wanna do before you take this belt off, there's 3 bolts that go through the face of the pulley. You're gonna wanna loosen those bolts, because it's gonna be a lot harder to take those bolts out once the pulley's off, since the pulley will just wanna spin on you. So you're more than likely, the easiest way to get to these is just gonna be a ratcheting flex head wrench, or just a regular ratcheting wrench. And you're just gonna wanna get in here and just loosen them, just so that way when you take the belt off, you can take the pulley right off. Alrighty, so we got the bolts on the water pump pulley loose. Let me see if I can get in here and show y'all. Shit, it's kind of hard to see on there. Yeah. Honestly, bro, what I'm gonna show them, I need 2 hands on anyways, so. Yeah. Here. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Recording? All right, so we got the bolts on the water pump pulley loose. Now we need to get that stretch belt off. So the easiest way that I've found to get these stretch belts off without the right tool is you're gonna want a long pry bar to turn the crank pulley with. So if you come over here, Ash, this right here is the crank pulley. That's gonna be a 21 millimeter bolt, okay? So just get a 21 millimeter socket and a pry bar or a breaker bar, and then you want a long pry bar. So what you're gonna do is stick your pry bar like right in between here. Do you see that, Ash? And you just want to pry up against the belt like this. And then you're gonna stick your breaker bar on the crank pulley and just rotate it while you're prying the belt forward. Just keep rotating it and the belt should just pop off like that. Boom. So now we got the belt out the way. We're just gonna leave it dangling behind that other belt because we don't need to take that off all the way. We just need to get it off this pulley. And then we should just be able to take these bolts out all the way that we loosen, and that pulley should just come right off. So here's one. And you can rotate the pulley if you need to. Here's two. Rotate the pulley a little bit more. This last one's being a little stubborn. Three little tiny bolts holding that pulley to the water pump. Do not lose those, you need those. And here's the old water pump pulley. Now we've got the water pump pulley on, and it's time to get the stretch belt back onto the water pump pulley. You don't have a stretch belt tool, and you're not gonna buy one either. What you're gonna do is buy some zip ties, because these are a lot cheaper than that belt tool, and you may even have a couple of these laying around your house. All right, so what you're gonna do is put the belt back on the groove of the crankshaft pulley in the manner that it belongs on there, and then you just kind of want to press the belt onto the bottom of the pulley. You see those holes right there? Just put a zip tie through one of those holes, and you're gonna feed it around the back of the pulley. It's kind of hard to talk with zip ties in my mouth. You're gonna feed it around the back of the pulley.
Let go.
I need them.
Oh. Like a dog who has something he's not supposed to. Drop.
So you want to make sure your belt is on the grooves of the crankshaft pulley and on the majority of the grooves of the pulley you're trying to get the belt back on. You're gonna get one zip tie, it's gonna hold it in place, right? Then you just want to get a couple more zip ties to reinforce that. So let me go ahead and do that for y'all real quick. 2 zip ties would probably be strong enough to get that belt back on there, because it is a pretty small belt. But I just out of force of habit usually use 3 zip ties whenever I'm trying to put a stretch belt back on. All right, so we have all 3 of the zip ties on there. Do you see that, Ash?
Mm-hmm.
So now when you put something on the crank and you rotate it, the zip ties are gonna hold that onto the water pump pulley, and it'll just stretch the belt right over the end of the pulley. You might have to push on it a little bit to get some tension on it, just to get it started, and you'll hear it pop, boom, belt's on. It might not line up with the ribs all the way, so you'll just give it a couple more rotations and it should fall into place. And you could cut those zip ties off, but if you rotate it enough, they'll usually just pop off like that, right? So zip ties are out of the way, just keep rotating it, and the belt should just pop right into place. Okay, actually, I'm glad this happened. So I can show y'all what to do if this does happen to y'all when y'all put the stretch belt on. So as you can see, I have it on the water pump pulley and it's on the crank pulley, but it's not lined up with the ribs all the way on the bottom, right? So if that happens to you, you're just gonna wanna get your pry bar that you use to push this belt off. And you're pretty much just gonna do the opposite of what you did when you took it off. Just push on the top part of the belt that feeds into the crank. And it should help straighten that out a little bit. There you go. And we're in there. So the belt's all the way lined up. Now we're just gonna tighten those bolts down that hold the water pump pulley on.